thoughts on game 500?
Oh yeah, obviously it's a nice milestone to get, I suppose. It's it's all been a bit overwhelming actually this week, to be quite honest. There's been a few things the club's put on and whatever, so just got to make sure we concentrate on our footy tomorrow night. That's what's important. Our performance tomorrow night, and even though it's been a very, very short turnaround, the 5 days, the boys have come back. They had a day off, and come back, and a couple of short sessions we've had, they've been good. So looking forward to a good performance tomorrow night.
What would you have said, Craig, if someone will reach 500 in the first start?
Well, it all depends what time of my career, actually. If you said it halfway through last year, I'd probably believe you. But if you said it, probably a good example was my first ever game, an NRL game, when we played at Cronulla, and we were down 22-0 after 20 minutes. And I'm thinking, I might go down the dressing room at half time, and John Rubbo might be waiting at the door with the one-way ticket back to Brisbane. But we ended up winning that game, so that relieved a bit of pressure. But it's like, it's sort of, if someone said 500 games, and you think, well, that's going to be 20 years. Well, that's probably not going to happen. Then all of a sudden it's happened. So that time's gone remarkably quick. As it does, the older you get, the quicker the years go, or it seems to. So but like I say, it's the big part about 500 games for me is the people that I've worked with, really, people that have been here at the club, on and off the field. We've had some wonderful players pass through the club in that 20 years, and there's been some great people that have had off-field roles as well. So been very lucky, very grateful for all the help I've had.
I'm sure, like any job, there are peaks and troughs, but are you enjoying coaching as much as you did?
Yeah, I think. I probably do. Well, I think I do. I sort of don't sit back and think, well, do I enjoy it more than I used to, or whatever. But like, probably the really enjoyable part, or makes it more enjoyable. I'm probably not as picky as I used to be. I probably used to micromanage, and now I let a few more things out for the coaches to do, and they're a wonderful group of coaches. They're only young, so they see things a little bit different to me, which is good. They're more the players' age, really. So those guys do a great job for us, and like I say, I think that's the area that I probably have changed over the last 5 or 6 years, in that I let a few more things go to the other coaches.
Right, after that salary cap season aside, do you feel like maybe this is one of the toughest periods of your career, given that you've had those senior players leave and the injuries that you've got now?
Oh yeah, we always knew it was going to be different when the big three left, and they but the good part about that, if there was a good part about it, was they didn't all leave together. Cooper went, then Billy went, then Cameron went. So we sort of the changeover there, I suppose, was a bit staggered. So that made that a little bit easier. But it's certainly, at times you miss them, and we always knew we were going to miss them. And I know as a coach, there were some things that I didn't realise that we'd miss them in. That's how much influence they had on the club and on the team. So it has been a big change, and it's been. We knew we had some good players here and good people as players. So it was just a matter of getting people to take up some of that slack, I suppose, that was left when the big three left. In some cases, some of them roles have taken a little bit longer than we would have liked. But at the end of the day, it's hard to replace Kevin Smith. It's hard to replace Billy Slater or Cooper Cronk. So I'm really proud of what those guys that come in and are playing those roles on what they've done, and the team around them have really been helpful as well. So obviously there was a couple of challenges there last week with losing our first game captain. He's not going to be playing for a fair while, and George as well, and Brandon's going to be out for a little bit. So again, it was a tough week last week, but I was so proud of what they did. We just got to make sure that we back that up again this week.
Craig, what's your gut feel as it stands right now about whether you'll still be senior coach here next year?
Like I say, I was supposed to make a decision, earlier in the year on that, but it's been a bit of a disrupted pre-season for me, to be quite honest, in a few ways. So I hadn't really had that. I wouldn't say the opportunity, but just to think about the important points and work that out. So the club's been good enough to give me a little bit more time, and we'll go from there.
Just playing the Pat Riley role, sort of director of coaching or bringing through the next generation, but still being involved with the Storm. Is that sort of thing potentially?
Yeah, without doubt. As soon as I'm not the head coach, I'll still be involved in the club, and not quite sure exactly what the job description will be, but it'll be a couple of different roles, and just step back a touch.
So 500 more then?
Please.
Going to be media manager.
Yeah.
Craig,
No thanks.
Is the thought behind maybe not coaching on whenever that decision is it the fact that it's just so all-encompassing that eventually you need to be, that you need to be 100% committed, and eventually you just need to go on? Is that sort of when you get that point, that's when you make that decision?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for me is, I don't want to be letting anyone down, and I coach in the way that, the players are doing their job for their teammates. They're doing the job for the team, so I'm the same. So if I lose some enthusiasm, or I think I'm not being as thorough or as hard-working as I was or I need to be, well, that's when it's time to go. And I'm not quite sure, what that main reason is, but things change in your life. Like I'm a grandfather now, and it's probably one of the most enjoyable times of my life. To have the grandkids around and whatever. So, like I say, whatever that reason is, it's I just need to work that out. But like I say, as soon as I feel that I can't give it the time and the effort that I've given it my whole career or the last 20 years, well, I know that's a time that I'm out.
You talk about that enthusiasm. Does that mean if we stop seeing you blow up as much in the box, that'll be a good indicator that maybe you're about?
Yeah, it might be actually. I'm not quite sure, but you could probably put that down as one of the points. Yeah.
Craig, congratulations on the
Thank you.
milestone. What have you, three parts, what have you learned about yourself on the journey? What have you learned about the game, and what have you learned about living in Melbourne?
I've learned about myself that perhaps I was a little bit hot-headed, or I suppose hot-headed might be the right word, just a little bit emotional at times. But having said that, I think that was just my way of caring, to be quite honest. But I think I've toned that down a touch. About the rugby league, I've obviously learned a lot about the game in my time. I've had a couple of really good mentors, before people I worked under as coaches, obviously in Wayne and Tim. They were unbelievably great coaches. At the top of the tree, and they were at the top of the tree, for a long period of time. But one thing I did learn, when I left the Raiders and went up to the Broncos, was that they were very, very different coaches in what they saw as, I suppose, the main thing, or how they actually coach. They were so different. So I learned pretty early that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I think the other thing I learned out of that is, it doesn't matter who you are, and you can learn things from other people, but at the end of the day, you are yourself. You've been brought up with values and beliefs, and for me, I had to stick to my values, and sometimes that might not suit other people, those values, but they suit me. That's what I'm about. So I learnt that pretty early, I reckon, and so I think that's been a really important thing. Living in Melbourne, I found out it's a good city. I probably wasn't aware of how good a city it was until I come and lived here. I sort of visited on a couple of footy trips on Melbourne Cup Day, to be quite honest. So I didn't go, so I thought it was a pretty good place, but not, I didn't know whether I'd like to live here. But it's a great city, and and the thing I did like when I first came here, that rugby league, we could certainly go under the radar, and we still go under the radar to a certain extent, which is nice in one way. But I think certainly in my time here, we have sort of built up, I think, the membership and the crowds and whatever. So I think there is a certain interest in the NRL now that probably wasn't 25 years ago. It's for me, it's certainly an AFL city, and we all know that. But we know where our niche is, and as long as we understand that and work hard to to put a good team out there each week that performs up to its capabilities, what it's capable of. I think the Melbourne sports fans will come and support you if they know you're doing your best, and you're trying your best, and you're playing to your capabilities. I think they'll turn up and watch you. So it's I've learnt that about Melbourne.
Have you been to any Melbourne Cups now you're a bit more recognisable?
I think I went to one about 4 or 5 years ago, but going out here, I don't get recognised a lot either yet, So after 20 years, I'm pretty sure it ain't going to happen. So I can usually go out and whereas I probably wouldn't be able to do that in the northern states. But but obviously the Melbourne Cup's a great event, and hopefully next couple of years I'll be able to go again.
We might just do a couple of game questions, and then we'll go get a couple of photos, and then Craig's got to go prepare for tomorrow.
Yeah, the Latrell coming back tomorrow night. What are you expecting from him and the impact he's going to have on the
Oh yeah, he's a wonderful player, Latrell. He's got he reads the game so well, but he's just his physical attributes, I suppose. He's big and he's quick, and he's got a whole heap of skill as well. So he's going to be hard to handle. Obviously, I don't think he's played the game this year, so it might take him a little bit to get the timing in that right. But he's a very experienced player. He's a rep player. He's played a lot of Origin, so we know that he's going to provide some problems for us tomorrow night. We just need to handle those problems well and just help each other out there.
Craig, how have the guys taken the blow of losing Christian and losing George for what's not likely to be the season? Has that seemed like a fair blow first?
Yeah, well, it is. That doesn't happen too often. You lose, 2 players for the season, and one was your captain, on the night. So, I think the guys. I know myself after that game the other night. You just felt like, celebrating and having a couple of beers because of the effort the players put in, but you couldn't do that because of the disappointment you felt for those 2 individuals, and they were obviously destroyed as you could imagine. They put in a whole pre-season, they get a season-ending injury in round 1. That's very disheartening, and but again, we needed to get out of that mindset, I suppose, when we come back to train this week, and I think the boys have. We've had some, well wishing, I suppose, from those 2 guys, and Christian's already been operated on. I think George goes in, might be Friday or next Monday. So like I say, it was certainly a downer on Saturday night. Probably a little bit down when we come back in again on Monday, but like I say, we need to get our mindset on this week, not on what happened last week, and then and move on from there.
I don't think you guys have ever lost to the Rabbitohs here. Another record.
There you go. Put the mock on us, Mel. Good on you.